Let me tell you, there's no real way to prepare yourself for the day you roll up to your family's land your grandfather carved out of the mountains with his bare hands. Land you've poured sweat into for decades and find a luxury cabin, stone fireplace and all, sitting right where your family's memorial used to be. And the wildest part? When you decide to tear it down, the people who built it slap you with a $750,000 lawsuit for destroying their legal construction, waving around documents with your grandfather's signature that absolutely shouldn't exist. If you're listening to this, you need to hear just how deep this rabbit hole goes. It started on one of those crisp, uneasy mornings in September, one of those days when something just feels off, like the universe is about to flip a switch. I hadn't been up to the far end of the property in 2 months. Work had been chaos, and the guilt was eating at me. So I grabbed my ATV, headed out for a loop, and was thinking about the fence my grandfather, Daniel Palmer, hand-carved back in '52. He was a simple man, old school, and after he passed in '89, he left the land to me with just one request: keep the Palmer memorial stone visible and untouched. But when I rounded the bend, expecting to see that stone shining in the sun, I saw something else: a cabin that looked like it was ripped straight out of a luxury magazine. It had a wraparound deck, a stone chimney, copper gutters. Hell, the windows alone probably cost more than my truck. I sat there in shock, my hands shaking, taking photos with GPS stamps because I could tell right away this wasn't just a property line mistake. Somebody had researched the land, picked the one spot that meant the most to my family, and built over it like my grandfather's history didn't matter. You ever get that feeling someone's walking over your grave? That's how it hit me. I texted my old buddy Jake Morrison's been helping me with this land for years. Always joked someone's going to try to steal this mountain lottery ticket. I never thought it'd be so direct, so personal. But the universe wasn't done throwing curveballs. I was still standing there, heart pounding, when a top-of-the-line SUV rolls up. Out steps this woman, polished, confident, sunglasses that probably cost a week's paycheck. She says, "Mr. Palmer, I'm Claire Jenkins, president of the Elkridge Heritage Council. We need to talk." I wanted to laugh, honestly. She handed me a stack of documents that looked so official, you'd think the president signed them. Seals, notary stamps, even my grandfather's signature, dated 1987, granting expansion rights to her group. My jaw nearly hit the dirt. Only problem? My grandfather was a stickler about paperwork. I had every deed, every will, every scrap of legal anything he'd ever signed, and not once did he mention giving away an inch of this land, let alone the sacred corner with the memorial. Claire talked to me like I was a child. "Sometimes memories are unreliable, Mr. Palmer," and handed me more papers. My brain just screamed, wrong, wrong, wrong. So I did what any rational guy married to a brilliant legal mind does. I called my wife Rebecca, who burned out as a Denver legal assistant after 15 years, but never lost her knack for sniffing out trouble. She said, "Don't touch anything, don't sign, and don't let them know we're prepping to fight." Smart woman. That night, Rebecca and I covered the kitchen table in family documents, wills, tax forms, anything with Daniel Palmer's signature. And sure enough, side by side, the signature on the so-called easement was steady, bold, like a young man's hand, not the shaky script of my grandfather's last years. "Greg," she whispered, "this is a forgery." But how'd they even get his signature from decades ago? Next day, Claire calls me with a new twist, says there's archaeological evidence on the site, wants to show me in person. I brought Jake as backup. Claire rolls up, not alone this time, but with a so-called archaeologist, Dr. Michael Stevens. Guy looked the part, khakis and gear and all, talking about Native American ceremonial sites and artifact protection. He even produced arrowheads and pottery shards, said he'd found them this morning. Jake shot me a look, whispered, "Man, you can buy those in Denver for $20. We started poking holes. Why would a ceremonial site be underwater every spring? And why are these ancient fire circles built from construction stones with mortar still on them? Dr. Stevens got defensive, started talking jargon, but the more we asked, the shakier his act became. Claire, ever the pro, immediately pivoted. If history wasn't working, now it was environmental protection. Claimed the cabin foundation was protecting the soil from erosion. But the truth? That structure was causing more damage than any runoff ever could. Jake, with his years in mountain construction, nailed her when he asked about geology Dr. Stevens couldn't answer, and then bailed for a phone call he never came back from. But the most chilling moment? When Claire's purse spilled on the ground and I caught a glimpse of documents, original family deeds, military records, personal letters, things that were never public, things only someone with real connections could dig up. That's when the fear really set in. This wasn't just a property dispute. It was personal, calculated, and organized. Claire kept doubling down, bringing in more experts, even had a geologist named Dr. Walsh try to block our demolition with claims of landslide risk. Jake, always the practical one, pressed for real geological details and exposed her as a fraud when she used the wrong equipment. Deputy Morgan, our local sheriff's deputy, got involved, made some calls, and sure enough, no record of Walsh, no real credentials, and the so-called state vehicle had fake plates. Suddenly, this looked a lot less like an HOA dispute and a lot more like organized crime. Rebecca dove into research, found similar scams popping up in other states, fake environmental protests, and property tied up in legal limbo until families gave up. But the smoking gun landed in our lap, thanks to Mark Jenkins, Claire's own husband. He'd found files on her computer, fake social media accounts, detailed psychological profiles of every member of our family, even notes about when to strike based on our routines and finances. She'd been running this like a military operation, pressure points, vulnerability rankings, everything. And her next target? Jake's family, whose patriarch had just passed. Mark realized she was never going to stop. He handed us everything. With evidence mounting, the dominoes started to fall. Turns out, the FBI had been watching, undercover agents embedded in the community. Our case was just one piece of a multi-state inheritance fraud ring, dozens of families, millions stolen, and a trail of suspicious deaths, elderly folks harassed into early graves. The day it all came out in court, the FBI agent stood up disguised for months as my neighbor Ann laid it all bare. Organized crime, fake experts, property theft, elder abuse. Claire's mask finally cracked, but even then she hinted at deeper connections, implying her network stretched far beyond our little mountain town. The feds seized everything: her cars, house, fake companies, even the money funneled to shell corporations out of state. My family got our land back, but the cost was losing any faith in the system's ability to protect regular people. We rebuilt the memorial, planted a garden with native flowers, and added a stone for every local family Claire's network had hurt. 2 years on, I found out from the FBI that my grandfather had been a government surveyor, helping set wilderness boundaries to protect land like ours. Turns out, we were targeted not just for our property, but for what he knew, information that had made us a mark for years. Makes you wonder how many families out there have lost their legacy to the same kind of predators, all under the guise of heritage and environmental protection. So, here's my question: if you found out someone you trusted was running a double life, targeting families, would you ever see your world the same way? Drop your thoughts below, tell me your state, share your wildest HOA story, or just let me know, where do you draw the line between community and control? This story isn't over, and neither is the fight for what's right.